All right, welcome to another episode of Vital Doc Talk. And on today's episode, Dr. Kevin Fong, who was actually a guest previously, gave me a great suggestion out of the box. I love creativity, I love collaboration. He told me, hey Vlad, you wrote a book on SEO. Why don't you go through my site and then, critique my website and help make the right changes or point to the right changes I need to make to get more business. And then also share it with the audience to basically give them value. And I love it. I love helping out the community. I actually spend an hour a week just for free helping out doctors and other people in the business. So let's do this. Dr. Kevin, anything you'd like to say?
No,
Okay.
I thank you
No
for the
worries.
time. I mean, selfishly, as I'm ramping up like a new business, I already know that you have great advice to shed. So I thought it could be a really strong win-win if I could, get some free advice from you, and then allow you to kind of talk to your viewers and teach them some of the similar principles.
I appreciate that. And most of the time I interviewed the other people, and Dr. Kevin was so nice that he was like, hey, Vlad, you should talk about yourself too. So we actually generated around 200 patients for one of our clients, and I'm gonna show you exactly how. And we'll talk about what you should look at while I'm showing you this live free video for your own website when you're doing your own analysis. So this is for Google organic traffic, SEO. I wrote a book called SEO for Doctors. So when people type in things such as, let's see, New York dentist, how do you be the #1 dentist and everybody finds you on Google New York? So with Kevin, Dr. Kevin, why don't you give us a term that you would like to rank for in San Francisco, since that's where you're located?
Yeah, of course. So corporate physical therapy is a general term that I don't think has really been adopted yet in the industry. And then, of course, if we can niche that down into the San Francisco Bay Area, oh man, I think it'd be a huge win on my end if I could kind of own that phrase.
Awesome, right? So first things first, right? You type in your own term onto Google. That's one thing you can do. And there's 3 factors I'm going to be going over for Dr. Kevin that we look at when we do work with a client. And that's going to be technical, content, and SEO. And whoever has bought the book for 20 bucks on Amazon, or hint, hint, has gotten it for free because they were a guest on my show. Basically, you'll notice that I have section 1 goes over content and all the things you should do, like the basics, right? Then section 2, which is link building up the authority so Google knows, oh, these guys, they talk about what they want to specialize in very clearly for us to see that they're experts. And then, oh, actually other people, they actually link to them saying that they're experts. So now we know that they should be on the first page. Others should see them. And then number 3, the technical part. And that's stuff like, hey, is their site easy for people to navigate? Is it fast? Are there any broken pages, etc.? So we're going to start off with content first, right? Of those 3 pillars. Just remember this: content, link building, and technical. So the content part, right? So you guys know what a keyword is, right? A keyword is what I typed in, right? Dr. Kevin, he wants to rank for corporate physical therapy, San Francisco, for example. All right, that's what you type in on Google. So going back to the book, let's go into section 1 real quick. You'll see me kind of describe that. I don't know why we have hormone therapy on here, but I think somebody's making notes. We're actually writing 2.0 right now. But, it also talks about what you do when you can't afford it. And the #1 thing is actually what you should do is just make the time and learn it. It's not impossible to actually build your own site. In fact, on our episode with me and Dr. Fong that we did in the past, he actually built his own site, which I really like, because if I give him tips, we can save time and money, and he can basically implement them himself through just like consulting and training, or we usually charge around $3,000, but it all depends on how much work do you want to do. If you don't want to do anything and you're not going to pay somebody to do the work, it's just not going to get done. You're not going to get results, guys. So, it talks about how much money you should be paying, when it's better to just do it in-house. And obviously if you're a team of 1, that's kind of like the ideal situation. Or if you only have a couple people and you're strapped, like coronavirus hit you, obviously that's important that, you have to take the bull by the horns by yourself. So, we have a basic checklist, and SEO content is where it starts. So we go over what a keyword is. And also it talks about the patient, right? Dr. Kevin actually told me, oh, I want to, rank for corporate physical therapy, San Francisco. because he wants more corporate clients. Now, he probably has an avatar in his head. I tell people here, hey, create your ideal patient client. Do 30 minutes. Think about, are these the people that have been my favorite clients? Do they make me the most money? Do I have 10 competitors I can study for in terms of SEO? Is there 10 keywords that I know if I would rank for that my competitors rank for, then I would actually get good business results. Double check, rinse, repeat, but having these ideas, Dr. Kevin, I'll tell you, when I'm talking to clients, sometimes I'll say, what keyword do you want to rank for? They're like, I don't know. You're the guy, you tell me. And I don't know your business. Even if you're obviously a physical therapist, just like Dr. Kevin, but you're maybe a different type of physical therapist, right? Maybe you specialize for gymnasts. I don't know that that's what I need to rank for. I have had it where I've ranked people on Google for keywords and I've gotten them the clients they don't want and it didn't work out, believe it or not. So, so you create the profile of your client over here, et cetera, right? And then, Dr. Kevin actually shortcut it. He's like, I know exactly which keyword I want to rank for. So we're going to look at competitors, right? We're going to use SpyFu to estimate their traffic budget and kind of figure out how much work we need to do to actually rank for these terms. And I do this in our example, over here in the book. And so we're going to do this exact thing, right? So we're going to take a look through competitors. We got Yelp. That's not really a competitor. Golden Gate Physical Therapy. Sorry, guys. I'm going to call you guys out. I'm going to say you're a competitor. Expertise.com. That's kind of a platform. Like Yelp, Yellow Pages, they're not really competitors. Get Luna, On-Demand Physical Therapy is kind of a competitor. We'll list them. You don't even have to do 5, guys. You could do 3 in the book. Rising Sun Physical Therapy, they rank for this key term, right? These are all good potential competitors. Competitor, right? So we found them. And then basically, I say, hey, here are my top 5 results for these keywords, right? And then we can plug them into SpyFu and we can see actually which keywords are they ranking for. So now, Dr. Kevin, what you can do, you can go to this website, SpyFu, completely free. And you can go to, let's see which one we like. I like Golden Gate personally the best. So this COVID update, by the way, putting this on your site like this, Google doesn't like that. Just so you guys know, you should maybe put it on the bottom or hide it because it'll make people bounce off your site. So, there's a bonus tip. We'll put that into SpyFu, try it for free. And then check this out. Now we can take a look at this competitor. It looks like SpyFu, they're not really spending a lot of money on pay-per-click, right? But more importantly, we've got other potential competitors we can study. When we're like, let's say you're out of ideas for how to improve your site. You're like, oh, great. I could take a look at healthwellpt.com or whatever, right? And then we can go to the bottom and look at these other keywords. Physical therapist, San Francisco. Maybe I could rank for that. Maybe I should rank for San Francisco physiotherapy. So now you've got other potential keywords you can gun for. And the lower the clicks, by the way, the less traffic, the less competitive it becomes. So this is all useful information you can do to do more keyword research, right? When you're thinking of content, you have to do keyword research to know which keywords to gun for, and then you have to create those pages. And then later in the book, right, let's say, you get all your keywords, you get 10, you can also study your competitors on LinkedIn if you want to go crazy and find more keywords there if you can't think of any to rank for. Now you've got to have a high quality creation process, right? Now, a good process basically says that you use the right words for Google to know that you rank for this content. And I know I'm going fast with this book, guys. So like I said, contact me, I'll give it to you. You just got to be a guest on my show, or you can buy it for 20 bucks, whatever you want to do. Maybe if you say pretty please, I'll do it to you for free. Or if you attend my free office hours. But anyways, we'll keep going through. And so here are the things you have to look at. H1 versus H2 tags, right? The H1 tag is misunderstood a lot. So Dr. Kevin, I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot a little bit, and I appreciate your honesty. Do you have a page with an H1 tag on your website or like a title that says this keyword you want to rank for? That says corporate physical therapy, and we're going to go niche down more, San Francisco.
I think honestly, I have some alt text that is linked to the phrase that I want to, the corporate physical therapy San Francisco.
But you don't have any
individual page.
Great, right? So basically, if I'm Google and I'm like, oh, I want to rank Dr. Kevin for corporate physical San Francisco, I really do, right? Let's just try to justify, let's say I'm like an internal employee. Let me justify to my peers that he deserves to rank here. So I'm going to try to find a page so I can show them, hey, Dr. Kevin, he's the guy that should be ranked #1 for corporate physical therapy San Francisco. And then I'm looking through the site, right? I'm looking, and I can't find the page. Guess when I go to the debate table to my fellow Google peers and try to tell them to rank you for, guess what they're going to tell me, Dr. Kevin? They're going to say, look, this guy doesn't even have this page for this keyword, right? And so basically, what you got to do is you've got to make this page, right? That's the first thing. So you're going to go in, if you take a look at your competitors here, these competitors, the reason they rank for these terms is because they actually have the page created. So if I take a look at Golden Gate Physical Therapy, they actually have this as their homepage. This is their meta title.
Mm-hmm.
This is their meta description,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though it's over here. They have corporate, here, let me see. They have physical therapy in here. Let me try to find it. They have it on here, right? And they have, I think, the word corporate. They should. If they don't, that means they're probably just very powerful. Yeah, they're probably just very powerful for this keyword. But so basically what Google looks for, it looks for your meta title, meta description, and H1 tags. They should all have the keyword that you want to rank for. And for every single page, guys, that you want to rank for, you want to rank for New York dentist, you better have a New York dentist page. And you might be asking, hey, Vlad, I want to be ranked for Brooklyn dentist. Guess what? You got to have a Brooklyn dentist page as well, right? Like every keyword you want to rank for, having a separate page for it is going to help you. Now, you can go crazy and say Brooklyn 46th Street dentist, right? And obviously you can create infinite pages that way on every single city in Brooklyn of, like what street you're on. And like the more niche down you get, right, it's going to be harder and harder to do all that content. But still, right, like the more content you have, Google likes that. It really likes content. So if we look for Get Luna, for example, they actually have a specific page they made on their website that says physical therapy anywhere in San Francisco, right? And they don't even have corporate, which tells me there's probably not a lot of people searching for this keyword. But still, right, you've got to have this in here to rank for it. So that's the first thing.
Can I ask you a question based on
Any
that?
questions? Go ahead.
Is it more powerful to have that key phrase through like multiple times on a page, or is once good enough?
So you want to have it once for your H1 tag, and then maybe in your content, the key is natural. So what you're referring to is actually an old school term called keyword density. So it's actually a pretty intelligent question. So this weird thing called keyword density means, hey, if I spam my keyword, like, if I'm in Seattle dentist, if I say Seattle dentist, I'm a Seattle dentist here in Seattle, then Google used to give you more points for that. Nowadays, they actually don't care, right? It might go against you as well. If they see you're trying to game them, you're supposed to do this naturally, but they do want you to be proactive, right? So if you want to be ranked for whatever city or state, you got to have a page that's dedicated to that, right? These guys do it on their homepage and they do an okay job because they actually put, if we go over here, Golden Gate Physical Therapy San Francisco. So they have Physical Therapy San Francisco. Now, nobody here actually on the first page even has the word corporate. I think very few. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a hack. I'm going to do a little bit more advanced tactic here. Is I have this software here, Ahrefs, and it'll show me how many people are searching for this term. It's probably going to be very few, right? So yeah, it says not estimated, right? So if I type in physical therapy San Francisco, this is probably what you should be gunning for, Dr. Kevin. You should probably create a physical therapy San Francisco page. However, if you want to be known for this term, you can create a separate page like that as well, and you'll rank for that. You'll be at the top. So when you meet with your clients, by the way, guys, that's another thing. You can tell them, by the way, guess who ranks on the first page for corporate physical therapy San Francisco, right? I was meeting up with somebody in the spirit of transparency, and they were like, Vlad, if you're so good at SEO for doctors, why don't you rank on the first page for SEO for doctors, right? Because I don't. And I showed them, I said, actually, I wasn't even trying. I rank on the second page for SEO for doctors. However, the reason I'm not is it only gets 100 people searching for it per month. Like, it's not worth my time. But then what I told her, I was like, you know what, lady, like if you want me to, I'll rank for this keyword if you want to do business with me. Like that's not hard for me, right? It's fairly easy, but it's just not going to do too much. I'm just gonna have to write content for whatever. If this is like a niche you want to create though, that's worth it. Anyways, so that's the first thing. So content, Dr. Kevin, you know, if I was giving you a grade, I'm going to be nice since you auditioned to be the guinea pig. I'm going to say not good, right? We'll just say not good. You can fill it in whatever you want, right? It's not an A or a B. That's all I'll say. It's non-existent. H2, by the way, is the subterm. So basically, you're going to want to rank for, let's say, if you want to rank for physical therapist or corporate physical therapy is your keyword. Then you could also rank for physiotherapy. You can put those H2s in there for subterms in there. So for example, here, so this tool I'm using, Ahrefs, this is a bit more advanced we're getting into, but it'll give you sub keywords you can rank for. If you click on having same terms on this tool, this is what SEOs tool use actually. So check it out. Physical therapy San Francisco is one word, but then your H2 could be San Francisco physical therapy. It could be South San Francisco physical therapy, and this gets 40 search volume. So these are the H2s. These are like sub keywords, right? For example, if you want to rank for the keyword New York dentist, it could be our Brooklyn location as an H2, you know, but then the person who makes one page just about Brooklyn dentistry, they're going to rank above you because they have more content and they're going to be looked at more authoritative, especially if they meet all three factors, which are link building, content, and the technical things, right? Like they have a fast website, etc. Now, Dr. Kevin, I want to make sure we pause. Do you have any questions so far? Is it clear?
I think it's clear. It brings up more questions than anything because what you don't know, you don't know. And now that I'm starting to learn information, I have more questions. So
Great.
the example that you just brought up, when I'm trying to find search terms or keywords to use, because I'm kind of a small fish in a big pond, do I want to aim for the ones that have the most clicks and the most views?
Great
or am I trying to
question.
find something in the middle so I can like really kind of own it and be a player in that space?
That's a fantastic question, right? So it depends, right? If you're in San Francisco, so it's fairly competitive, right? Like somebody in a major city, you're going to have people that are paying thousands of dollars a month for SEOs like me to do link building and do this stuff every single month, and it might be really competitive. If you guys are located in Saskatchewan, Canada, then most likely you don't have a lot of competitors. You could probably rank for everything. I would say my favorite strategy is start with the most niche you can and then start getting more and more broad over time. The reason I like that more is because you're going to rank much faster. So you create a corporate physical therapy San Francisco page, that'll motivate you to say, oh, look, I rank for this. I can rank for physical therapy San Francisco. I know I might have to do 10x more work, but I could still do it, right? Versus like going for the huge terms and not getting results and then feeling frustrated. So those are my 2 cents there, you know, but I think you should compete with everybody and anybody. I think you should be the best physical therapist on the planet, right? I think you should rank for physical therapy, right? Like I would rank for SEO for doctors or whatever, right? Like I like being competitive. It's just being smart with your time, right? So it's like how much time, it's a personal question for everybody, but I hope I answered that well enough, or I can follow up if you'd like with more. Or does that make sense?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So we're going through, right? Content doesn't get a good grade for Dr. Kevin, which is why he's gonna, you know, reread the section in the book. He glanced at it, guys, so he hasn't read it fully and implemented it, and I think it's perfect for him. So meta description is another thing, right? So when I type this term in, you'll see that the meta description here, which your web developer can actually control, and you should be able to know how to do this. It's just like learning how to tweet a tweet. This stuff is not as complicated as you think, and it's not going to crash your site. You just got to know how to change this stuff. So basically, nobody here actually says corporate physical therapy San Francisco, probably because it doesn't have enough search volume. But if I type this term in, right, the more competitive one, basically people here will say, check it out, physical therapy San Francisco in the meta title is what it's called, what the customer sees or your patients see. And then this term physical therapist is also in the meta description. So you want to have stuff like this. You want to have your physical therapy and you want to have your keywords in your meta description. I would say this one's actually optimized personally for me better than here. Google sometimes even randomizes results just so people can't do what I do and give this advice. But yeah, so let's keep going through, right? So yeah, on content overall, right, you're going to need to create these pages you want to rank for. and optimize. The length matters. So for example, if you see these 3 dots, that's not good. You want to keep this meta title below 60 characters. And I go through all the willy-nilly details in the book. You know, basically the length of your content should be around 300 to 500 words for whatever you want to rank for. I would stick to 500, guys, by the way. And an easy way to do estimations is you just take a look at your competitors, right? It's not, and none of this stuff is a deciding factor, right? That's why Google has an algorithm. They have multiple, that's just fancy way of saying we have multiple factors for ranking on the first page, right? Like, as you notice, nobody said corporate physical therapy San Francisco because no one's gunning for that term. So they just gave the next best thing because of the other factors. So, you know, we go over blog posts / landing pages here, how long they should be. Every year content gets 10% longer. So one easy long way to do it, we actually create our own tools, but what you can do is you can use a tool like web page word counter and count the average amount of words your competitors have for that term. This, by the way, Kevin, answers your keyword density question, you know, that you asked as well. So yeah, that was everything on content. I know it's a lot. I know we're going really fast. Do you have any other questions, Dr. Kevin, there?
Maybe just a short one on meta description. Can I crack the code by just having fragments of sentences fill up my meta description, or is it more useful to have like an actual grammatically correct paragraph? Does it not?
So here's the deal, right? So your meta title and your meta description that you're doing on the inside, not on your page, right? Google's going to see this. So the key for Google is if you want to rank for corporate physical therapy San Francisco, you've got to have those keywords in that title and in that meta description. The second part is, though, you're optimizing for Google 1, and for 2 is the person. So you want to have things in that meta description that if you were your client, why would you click on this meta description? Just answer that question, right? And you put those words in there, right? So maybe you could say, you know, corporate physical therapy San Francisco, and watch me botch this up, but I'll say something like, you know, find out why we're the greatest, you know, corporate physical, or figure out why people in your company aren't getting the right physical therapy in San Francisco they deserve for your corporation, whatever. And your job in the meta description is to convince Google first, and the second is the client to click on it and go to your page. So keep those in mind, right? You don't want to make it random by any means. You want it to be intentional. So next thing is link building, right, guys? So that's the second factor. It's content, link building, and technical. Those are the 3 factors that we always look at. So I also call it online promotion. And basically what you've got to do is you've got to create a social media profile. You've got to look at LinkedIn, right? Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Google will actually look to see if your website is being linked to. Now, Dr. Kevin actually has been on my show, so our episode is going to be out soon, and he will get a backlink from YouTube, for example, right? But let's look at Instagram. If I type in, for example, right, my business, which is Logic Inbound, we like to use inbound marketing methods, Instagram, you'll actually see we link back from Instagram, because Instagram's a separate website, to our web page. And Google will say, oh, look, Instagram says you should check these guys out. Who else says we should check these guys out, right? So does Dr. Kevin, right, have an Instagram account? Hopefully he does. Great, right? But he does. And then does he point back to, it's not, this is the wrong Dr. Kevin. But
there's a lot of Kevin Fongs, but it is in there somewhere. It's the fourth one down.
Cool. There is a lot of Kevin Fongs. But basically, he actually links back to his own webpage, right? So this shows Google like, hey, look, this is like a vote of confidence from Instagram to check this site out. And we actually found this website through Instagram. By the way, Dr. Kevin, you can actually, your home page is the most powerful page on your site because everyone's always linking to it because they don't want to take time to be very specific. So you could actually rank your homepage for physical therapy, and you could put San Francisco in here for this H1. That'll help, and you can rank your homepage for that. That'll be a good keyword.
Good to know.
But basically, now that he's got an Instagram backlink, right? He should go ahead and make a LinkedIn. He should make a YouTube. All this stuff. He wants to make sure he's linked back to on all these different sites. The more, the merrier, guys. It's like if I was your campaign manager for your presidential election, right? And you asked me, hey, Vlad, how many votes do you think I want to get during my free time for people to say I'm president? And in this case, president is first page of Google. I would say get as many freaking votes as you can, right? You just got to make sure you don't get shady websites. You don't want to get shady voters, right? You should get strong websites. The stronger, the better, right? You want to get the Oprahs of the world, the Forbes, the New York Times to link to you, right? And say, hey, check out Dr. Kevin. And also if they're niche appropriate, right? So basically if you get Men's Fitness magazine, right? Like if they write on you online, like that would be fantastic. The more niche appropriate and the stronger the website, the more traffic they get, the more Google or, the people on the internet are going to be like, wow, Dr. Kevin, he's really well promoted online and he's linked to. I've had clients, Dr. Kevin, believe it or not, that have been on CNBC and Fox. They've been on, television. However, they never asked to get linked back to. So as far as Google is concerned, you were never on CNBC. You were never on Fox. You don't deserve any of that credit. So you got to make sure, guys, that you're getting this credit, especially if you're doing PR, podcast episodes, right? Make sure people are linking back to you. And I go into the details of how a good link should look like, etc. So Dr. Kevin, I'm going to do the advanced version here. And I'm going to look at your competitors that rank for physical therapy San Francisco, which is, I'm going to pretend that's the keyword you want to rank for, right? And I'm going to show you how you rank for this keyword in comparison. And basically, what you got to do is you've got to build up your strength so it's at least as strong as the competition. So your competitors have a 6 DR, which is weak, 3, 1. So it's not going to take you a lot of work, by the way, to rank on the first page for this term, which is going to be very profitable for your business. You can make a lot of money. That's why we actually took one of our clients, literally helped her become a 7-figure plus practice through this, right? You can do this. So basically now this competitor is like a 1, right? This competitor is like a 3. They're not doing link building. They don't even know about this stuff, even though you're in San Francisco. I thought it would be more competitive, to be honest. I'm going to sign in. I'm going to look at your website. How powerful are you is your site? Have you been, Dr. Kevin, consciously link building by any chance?
I have, for the latest website, absolutely. I think I have a presence on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and they all should have some link that's attached back to the site, to the main website.
Cool, great. So let's see what we have, right? So this is non-existent, right? So sorry to say, you wouldn't get a good grade, right? You'd probably still get a bad grade. Now this is a DR, it's called a domain rating. That's the strength. That's like your voting popularity score. You can call this like the polls, right? So this website, Ahrefs, looks at the polls. So if I type in, for example, my business, Logic Inbound, ours is 52. And this system, by the way, this number goes like, it's called logarithmic. So it's like karate belts. Going from 1 to 2 or white to stripe is super easy. So we can get you to 3, Dr. Kevin, in about a week, or a month, right? Probably, I'll be safe. I'll say we can get you to 3 or 5 in a month with some serious link building work. To get from 40 to 41 is going to be a lot harder. To get from 99 to 100, like that takes all the work you used to do previously. It's like video game levels. So you got to do more link building. So what I would do, you guys should all do this as well. You can go to Logic Inbound, just Google our company. And shameless plug on the 33 stars. But basically, I would say, look at us, right? We have a LinkedIn here. We have a YouTube. We have a Crunchbase. We have a Twitter. We have a Facebook. Whatever this website is relevant. Go copy us, right? Go make profiles on all these websites. Clutch, Upcity. And then, obviously, on top of that, just making social media website posts and social media website profiles. You only need to make profiles. On all these directories, that's one thing. That's a directory link. You also want to do guest blog posts. Obviously, Dr. Kevin is ahead of the game. He did podcasts with me because there's super strong podcasts out there. Like he'll be on our site. Google will love that. That's a 52 DR vote of confidence for him, right? If you can get Oprah, if you can get, Elle magazine, whatever, fitness magazine, if you can get on Red Cross, that's perfect because that's in your niche and really strong. Google will love that. So you're going to have to do some work here. You're going to have to do that as well. So I give you, we'll say a D. Or maybe a C, just to be nice. Normally I give you a D if you're on the show, but it's good though, you're aware, right? You can do this. So
how delayed is that gratification? Once I do a lot of link building, how fast do I bump up that rating?
So I would say for link building, it depends. If your website's fresh, there's something called a Google sandbox, and Google will actually go ahead and really delay it for about, I would say 4 to 6 months. If you've been around for over a year, then what Google will do is they'll say, okay, we've crawl this site. He's a legitimate guy. He's not a spammer. He's not trying to game the system, right? And then I would say about once a month, right? Now, this also depends on what kind of backlinks you're going to get. If you go and get New York Times to cover you this week, Google will love that, and you're going to get a lot of attention fast. Because what's going to happen is all the little other news articles, they're all going to write about you as well, not just even New York Times. That's super powerful, and you'll get results much faster. So, you know, the joke in the industry is every answer to every question is it depends. But to be specific for you, Dr. Kevin, if you're going to just do social media stuff like this, it'll probably take about a month and a half of work for you. Now, I don't know how much work you're going to put in. You know, whenever we do a campaign, we like to, you know, assign, hey, this is something called link velocity. This is how fast we build links. Now, guys, you should be careful. You should actually not go and build 1,000 backlinks in one day. Because what Google's going to know is they're going to say, you're trying to take advantage of our algorithm. You're trying to game the system. In their mind, it should be proactive, but not like forced. It should be natural, right? So you don't want to spam people. So you want to go, what I like to tell people is build 1 to 2 backlinks a day. You know, maybe today you build a new directory profile, and then tomorrow maybe you do a cold email to New York Times. You can count that as another attempt. Then the next day you're like, I'm going to post on Reddit, because I know that they link to other sites on Reddit. Then the next day you say, hey, you know, I'm going to actually try to cold email a guest blog post. Next day, podcast episode. But you want to, every day you want to have something. And over time, you don't even need to do it after you get high enough. It depends. So that was probably as far as we can, with the time that we have today, go into link building. You know, normally I do teach people this stuff too, but I take like an hour on each. But this is a really good, I think, basics. And I think Dr. Kevin, if he just reads the book and listens to my advice, can really probably even rank for physical therapy San Francisco. It really depends on how much work the person puts in. So let's go into our next factor, which is the technical SEO, right? And I tell people, by the way, in my book, it goes into a lot more stuff here, but there's different types of links you're going to get, right? And you've got to actually calculate how much time do I spend building backlinks, and is it worth the time? If I spend an hour building a Facebook profile versus an hour getting on New York Times, right? Obviously, New York Times is the better cost investment. So growing your business is all about customer acquisition costs. And, you know, it's all a math equation. So any other questions on link building, Dr. Kevin?
No, I think you've answered everything in regards to link building.
And you guys, you want to be holistic, by the way. You don't just want to do social media. That doesn't look natural. You want to do podcasts, social media, guest blog posts, because your competitors are. The person that's been around for 20 years that didn't even know they were doing this, that got lucky, they did it naturally, right? So you want a natural footprint. You don't want to just do all guest blog posts, because Google will catch on and they'll say, look, you're trying to game it too much. Next, last but not least, is technical SEO. So this one I actually say in the book, unless you built your own website like Dr. Kevin actually has, you have got to talk to your web developer about this. But there's simple things you can do, like the site structure that Google loves. So for example, let's say Dr. Kevin follows my advice. He builds 50 backlinks, and they're all good backlinks. They're not like randomwebsites.com. They're like, you know, we'll pretend like they're Red Cross level, even though that would be very hard to do. So we go to his website, right, deskandrest.com, and then he says, Vlad, I built the corporate physical therapy San Francisco page. I've got 50 backlinks. Why am I not ranking, right? So the first thing I'd say is, number one, does your website work? He'd say, yeah, it works, right? I'd say number two, the corporate physical therapy San Francisco page, is it broken in any way? Does it give me a 404 page, right? So right now, if I'm on Google and I go to corporate physical therapy, right, and I type that in, let's say I want to rank him for it. Let's spell this wrong, right? Do I get this 404 page, right? Or are there pages that you removed, or did you delete these pages, and are they redirected properly with 301 redirects, right? So this is the technical part that your web developer most likely will have to do. Dr. Kevin can probably do it himself, since he built his website. So you got to make sure your site is very easy to search. So imagine if you told a friend, hey, go find my corporate physical therapy page. How hard would it be for them to find this corporate physical therapy? Today, obviously, it's impossible because it doesn't exist, right? But tomorrow, are they going to have to click on our core, and then are they going to have to go to the very bottom and then click on another page and then another page to find it? Or is it only one click away from the homepage? Ideally, the important pages that you want to rank for are only one click away. Also in link building, by the way, the closer your link is from their homepage, the more powerful, because Google can find it much faster. You want to be as close to the homepage as possible. And there's ways to do this, right? And I had a client ask me, hey, Vlad, well, what if I have 1 million pages? I said, well, let's take a look at one of the most powerful sites that everybody here has heard of, Amazon.com. Look at how many pages they have, right? They do SEO. They're a huge SEO play, right, as well. Take a look at all the links, right? This is for the customer side, but now they hide all the pages they want Google to find. It's still on the homepage. You see this? So if you turn out to be huge, you're going to have to do stuff like this too, for the technical side of SEO. The other factors of technical SEO is you can do something called like a Google Page Speed Insights. And this is going to get really headache for you non-technical people out there. You can type your website into Google Page Speed Insights and analyze it, and it'll tell you, what do we find? Google will tell you, what do we find when we search your website? And what do we think you need to fix? And it's going to give you a ton of things. You know, one simple thing you should know is your website should be no more than about 2.5 to 3 seconds to load, ideally, right? And so if it's slow, Google doesn't like that, right? Is it not mobile optimized? So Dr. Kevin got a 14 out of 100 on their things. So Dr. Kevin, you got quite a few things to fix here on the technical side from Google Page Speed Insights, because you want a fast site. Now, the good news is, Dr. Kevin, is Google spells out everything here in technical language of what you need to do to fix your site. Now, if we go and put in a competitor, the competitor that ranks for physical therapy, San Francisco, which, by the way, I think would be a very profitable keyword for you to rank for, and we go to Google Page Speed Insights, they should most likely get higher than 14 on the technical, right? So let's see. This is, I guess, rising physical therapy, whatever. These guys were first page as well. So that's basically everything. And we'll just, you know, show you guys how they're doing, the competitors, right? So they have a 38. So that's still not good enough. It's obviously double what Dr. Kevin has. So he doesn't need to do as much. As I said earlier, in San Francisco, it seems like it's not as competitive as it will be after Dr. Kevin gets in the game. But, you know, it seems very attainable for him. He can get this up to a 50. It's not unreasonable. We like to get it up to at least a 70 for our clients. Yeah, so that's the technical aspect. That's the link building and content. Questions?
Page Speed Insights, is that specific to desktop, or was that mobile as well?
They do both. So you want to be both mobile and web friendly. And if you just go to, so check this out. This is mobile right here. Okay. You can type in on the desktop side, and they'll give you a desktop score as well. So this is their desktop score, and this is their mobile score. So we were looking at mobile.
Yeah. What are common reasons why there's such a big jump between one and the other?
So because obviously mobile is obviously getting more important, but most web developers, they don't really care enough about it yet. That's why Google, most people's desktop is better. Like a doctor, for example, let's say you come home, Dr. Kevin, and your website's loading slow, right? And you paid a web developer, you're like, hey, my website's loading slow, what's going on? So a lot of web developers, they traditionally pay more attention to desktop. Obviously the future is mobile. So that's what you should be looking at first anyways. But you wanna have both, and ideally in the green. So yeah, you can switch back and forth, guys. Like I said, go to Google Page Speed Insights, type in your website address, and give this to your web developer. And don't let them give you excuses, by the way. That's the #1 way you'll never make $1 is if you let excuses run your life. But anyways, guys, that's everything today. I want to be respectful of Dr. Kevin's time and thank him for being on. Do you have any other questions?
I mean, I have nothing but a laundry list of questions and action items that came out of that, but that's what it was for. So thank you for the time and the great insight. Yeah, and guys, and Dr. Kevin, I'll tell you too, my book goes through a lot of this stuff in even more detail. Obviously, I wrote 80 pages, and I'm writing version 2, you know, is going to be out in a couple of months, and it'll have like 20 to 40 more pages. So it goes into a lot of this detail work here. But also, obviously, I do an hour of free coaching / help because care is our #1 value. So feel free to ask me, and Dr. Kevin, I'm sure we'll meet again, and I'll give you even more one-on-one private information. So, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.